morning. I'm Judy East. I'm the chair of the Nevada County Council of Sierra College Foundation. With respect, we acknowledge the Nevada County campus of Sierra College as the traditional and unceded homelands of the Nisenan peoples. For countless generations, the Nisenan have carried out their responsibility as stewards of this place, originally known as DASPA. Sierra College commits to an ongoing relationship with the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe and their future generations who are integral part of the Sierra College community. Welcome. It is our council's privilege to sponsor these community forums. A little bit about the council. We are a group of community and college leaders who put $20,000 into the community to help the campus and programs. We have one more community forum, and that will be May 9th, and then we will be taking a break because the campus is closed during summer on Fridays. We will continue again in August. Also, just a little plug, in order to put this money into the college, we are having a fundraiser. The date is July 11th from 5 to 8 p.m. on campus around the pond. And we're going to have the Friday Family Food Truck Fun Fest. Wow. That's why I had to stop and think. And it's free admission and free parking, and we'll have food trucks, and we'll have carnival and type games and activities for the family. So we hope you'll be able to join us, and of course, we will send you more information. Today, we have a guest moderator. We don't have Terry or Lorraine or Cheryl, but we have Pascal Fusshaller. Yes?
Almost.
Close. I'm sorry, I tried to check. So, of UVNet, and she's going to give us a look at what's happening with the arts in Nevada County.
You guys can share that.
So good morning, everybody. Yes, my name is Pascal. There's a reason why I just go by Pascal. Welcome, everybody, and also welcome to those who will watch this later on demand, because these forums are recorded and you can find them later on the Sierra College Grass Valley Campus website. So if you missed it, or if you want to watch it again, by all means. So we're joined today by Lisa Swarta, Ken Harden, and Gary Peterson, representing the Center for the Arts in Concert Sierra and, well, the Miners Foundry. And the reason why these three venues were invited is that they all have big projects, big changes, new stuff, but also to talk about what the arts and entertainment do for Nevada County and what Nevada County can do for the arts and entertainment. Because while we all love to have these venues, let's face it, there are struggles, there are problems, there's changes. And so let's talk a little bit about where you're at and right now, what is your venue? How are you doing? And where do you think you will be in 6 months? Let's start with Gary, since you have the microphone.
Yeah, it got handed to me. Thank you. Glad to be here. Always glad to be here with you all. A room full of friendly faces. Having been an elected official for a while, I can tell the difference. So it's wonderful. Nevada City, I was just talking, buying a foundry was not in our budget this year. We did not expect to end up managing the foundry and taking it over, but it became clear over a period of time. And I think what's remarkable and really interesting about this is about 90 days ago, the council appointed a subcommittee to begin to engage in conversation with the Foundry Board as to what responsibilities the city might have in a time of difficulty. So we went to work on that, and then as we were learning and developing a knowledge base about what the relationship was with the city and the Foundry, the Foundry let us know that they were having financial difficulties and that there was immediate action, it seemed, was required. So we quickly formed a finance team, a legal team, and an operations team to analyze the Foundry. As it turns out, there was a historic trust in place where the Foundry, should the trust have had difficulties, that the Foundry would revert to the city anyway, to the city and the county jointly. And what we determined in looking at all of this was the most important thing we could do was to get out ahead of anything that would prevent the Foundry from continuing, that we would be transparent and keep that flow moving. So we began to engage with the board and ended up within 30 days we had leased the Foundry and taken over operations. And then in the last 60 days we have done an enormous amount of financial work to understand what we might be saying yes to. We are stewarding citizens' dollars, and we must always demonstrate public benefit. So we took it on, and now we are actually acquiring the facility, physically owning the facility to give it its next chapter. We're organizing and working with staff, most of the existing staff, but also we engaged our community, and this is really important for us, is this is a different model, and we'll talk more about it as this unfolds, but we are not a for-profit venue or a venue, a nonprofit that has to meet certain requirements. As a city, there's options that we have to reduce the cost. But it's also really clear, we held a public community meeting, 130 people showed up, with 5% of our population. 130 people showed up, very robust meeting, but very much indicating from our community to the council that this was the right direction to go and how important this Foundry was over the course of time. So we stepped in to take care, and it's going to move more. We're going to keep everything that we've been doing, but it's also become much more a community-oriented center with community programming, which is something their community really wants, and so we'll really expand the use. So we're very excited. There's probably still 10,000 decisions ahead of us, but we're moving.
And speaking of cost and budget, etc., what is the budget of the Foundry? What was the budget of the Foundry, the annual budget for the Foundry? Just to give an order of magnitude so that we have a little bit of it, because there might be people, who knows, that don't know about the Foundry.
Yeah, I'm going to be careful with the numbers. I've looked at them, but I don't have them right on the top of my head. But what we're expecting, what we have done is we formed what's called a enterprise fund. So that's an entity, and it's a mechanism in local government where the entity is responsible for paying its own way. In other words, the revenue generated to run that is done so by the use of the facility. So we're looking at that. We made an initial loan from the general fund to that entity for $150,000, which we believed would stabilize us, get us through 6 months, and understand it better so that we can continue operations. As I said, really important that we kept it seamless, and all those weddings that were booked and events that were booked continue to happen.
Thank you. Ken, you're next.
Okay, same question?
Same question.
Okay, I'm Ken Harden, and I'm here representing In Concert Sierra, and for pertinent to today's conversation, more representing Crown Point Venues, which is the new complex that In Concert Sierra is undertaking to build up at the top of Crown Point Circle. So just a very brief bit of history about that. I see many folks out there that already know this story, so I apologize to you for telling it again. But for many years, In Concert Sierra has been aware that in order to grow the organization and in order to create continuity for the organization in our community, that we really needed a home for the organization. And a home for a classical music organization means an acoustic concert hall. And so for many years, we've been on the lookout for an appropriate place to do that, to create that. In 2018, we were very fortunate to receive a $2 million gift from a local donor to keep that dream alive. And then just on the tail end of the pandemic, we were very fortunate to find the previous headquarters of Grass Valley Group, now Grass Valley USA, was for sale at a very reasonable price, almost representing stealing it from them. And with that gift in hand, we were able to acquire that piece of property. I'm very much abbreviating the story. And the building turned out to be much larger than what we needed to build a concert hall. And so we very quickly looked at that very hard and did a gap survey in the community, talking to folks, and determined that the best uses for the remainder of the building were a black box theater and a conference center space. And so we set about designing that and also looking at what the fundraising needs would be in the community. And our intent was to build the concert hall first, to renovate that, and then renovate the other spaces as we went along. Nature intervened in March of 2023, 36 hours after we bought the building, when the roof collapsed, along with many roofs in the community, and forced us to very quickly, again, redesign our effort and incorporate all of the renovation at once. So it very quickly became a much larger project, which had the downside of costing a good deal more, but had the upside of having the entire facility renovated very quickly. So we're in the middle of that process now. We've had great success at acquiring funds as we've gone along so far. The community has been very generous, and again, like Gary said, I'm not going to try to pull the numbers off the top of my head, but a couple that I can confidently quote are that we have been able to bring about $8 million into this effort from outside the community, entirely outside dollars that the community would have generated for the project. And we have contributed a little over $12 million to the local economy through the construction process so far. And part of the question was, where will we be in 6 months? We'll still be under construction in our case. So it's difficult to talk about operational budgets, that kind of thing. We have projections and we continually refine them. But we're very excited about being able to open sometime in 2026. It'll be probably somewhere around a year from now. The building is entirely closed in, and it looks beautiful. The acoustic concert hall, without any finishes inside, has a wonderful acoustic already. The Black Box Theater is looking very exciting to the theater community. It'll be the second dedicated theater space in the community after the Nevada Theater, and intentionally a black box design to go along with the fixed seating design of the Nevada Theater. And the conference center promises to be a very welcome addition to the community also.
Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Yep.
Lisa, for the county, oh no, Center for the Arts. So many hats.
Which hat do I have on today? Well, as Gary said, it's nice to sit in a room with familiar faces as an elected official. Typically, when you sit in a room with this many people, half of them hate you and half of them love you. So I'm going to go 30-70 in this room. Anyway, as Pascal said, I'm Lisa Swarthout, and I'm actually a board member at the Center for the Arts. I've been on the board for about 4 years. I'm also the District 3 County Supervisor, so I represent Grass Valley. So the center and the new Performing Arts Center, many of the venues in this community are in District 3, the Fairgrounds and North Star House. So I'm very lucky. I have lots of arts things going on in my supervisorial district. I also want to acknowledge Martin Polt, our chairman of the board for the Center for the Arts. Also, former CFO of Nevada County. We're very lucky to have him at the center. He brings a wealth of experience and knowledge. Thank you for allowing me to represent up here today. The Center for the Arts, we are a cultural and educational organization that promotes and presents literary, visual, and performing arts for the enrichment of our community. We are a 501c3, so we are a nonprofit organization, and there's some distinction in that for us because as a nonprofit, we actually have a property tax exemption from the county. So there's certain things that we cannot do at the center. For example, we can't have wedding receptions, we don't host big retirement parties. Everything that we do has to be for the benefit of the community in one of those missions that we talked about, which is visual and performing arts. So what we do, we have about 170 events throughout the year, so about approximately 4 a week. And some of those are our own productions that we do, and the others would be what we call co-production. So we partner up with many of the organizations in the community. Music in the Mountains is one of our artists in residency. We work with the Lyric Rose Theater. We work with some of the other theater groups. And then there's also private promoters in the community who will bring their acts to us, and we co-produce them, meaning that they bring the acts in, and then we do the technical and the setup. Has everybody here, has everybody been to the Center for the Arts? We've been around for a really long time. So, but if you're not familiar with the facility, we are a 507-seat fixed, well, not fixed seat, we have the ability for 507 fixed seats in the theater, but the way that our building was designed is to be very flexible. So the seats, part of them, the tiered seats come in, and the other seats are removable, so you can actually use the whole space. And we host galas help co-produce galas. For example, last week the Law Enforcement Fire Protection Agency had their gala at the Center for the Arts. It was a lovely event. We did all the setup and we do all the technical work for them. They had a band, and so it's a very convenient place for people to do those types of events because we do a lot of the work for you. For example, when you rent the Vets building, you get the tables and chairs, you set up all the sound equipment. We do all of that for you at the Center for the Arts. So our budget is a little shy of $3 million a year. About $1 million of that is contributed income, meaning comes from sponsors and donors and membership. We have a very robust membership program at the center. And then the rest of the revenue comes through the main stage productions, the co-productions that we do, the bar revenues, and then some grants. For example, one of the grants that we did this year, we just did Shakespeare, 3 nights of Shakespeare. Did anybody go? It was a fabulous production. And that was, there was a generous gift from the city of Grass Valley to help underwrite that. There were 3 shows, but then there was a 4th one, which we brought 300 school children down to downtown Grass Valley, and they got to watch Shakespeare at no charge to the kids. So we work really closely with the schools in Nevada County. Youth arts education is one of our primary focuses as well. We put on a tremendous amount of classes and summer programming. It's great for parents who work and they need to get their kids into a class. There's some fabulous arts. There's circus camp. There's all sorts of great things for the kids.
In 6 months.
In 6 months, we will be hosting the Music in the Mountains Gala in our, in our main theater. For us, it's business as usual right now. We've had some changes. Our executive director left a couple months ago. We have a fabulous interim executive director, Conrad Sisk, who's also our technical director at the center. And the board's working really hard right now to figure out the direction we're going to go through with the management structure. We've hired a consultant that's helping us with kind of a sustainability, viability, feasibility study is how she terms it. So lots of changes in the arts world, especially in the performing arts world. The center closed for several years, 2017 to 2020 for the big renovation that we did at the building on Main Street. And I know we had the worst winter weather ever when we were going through our construction, so it set us back a little bit. The intent was to open in 2019. That didn't happen. We opened on March 13th, 2020. What happened the next day? We closed on March 14th of 2020. And unfortunately, we were closed for well over a year for people in the theater, but I would say it took a good 2.5 years where all the COVID restrictions were taken away and people felt comfortable coming back to live entertainment. But live entertainment has definitely struggled, especially at some of the smaller venues. Post-COVID, people have changed how they go out, how they recreate, how they
Let's
shop.
talk, let's talk a little bit about that, because, well, yes, COVID shut down, no live entertainment for quite a while. But for all three of you, do you see pre-COVID levels? Or is there still a reluctance for people to actually come, or, because everybody's talking about, oh yes, the arts are important, but the arts, we need to support the arts. However, people don't come and actually support the arts in a way that makes every venue sustainable. And let's face it, you are three of the larger indoor venues in Nevada County who will be. There are other venues that, and so are you cannibalizing each other? Are you just trying to survive? Or what are the options that you have to actually not only keep the arts alive, because let's face it, there's an economic impact. The economic impact of the arts is pretty substantial for a community like Nevada County. What are you doing? How is it possible to sustain these venues, and how is it possible for you to, well, not put each other out of business? Who wants to go first?
I will. So I will say we are not cannibalizing each other. I truly believe that there is enough of an audience and diversity in all the work that we do to sustain our three venues, as well as the North Star House and the Nevada County Fairgrounds and some of the other venues in the community. I think we all have to get a little bit more creative with how we work together, and maybe do a lot. We're really looking forward to In Concert Sierra opening their facility, because they're going to be able to. They'll do things there that we aren't able to do in our facility, and vice versa. And we really see a synergy working together. Say, let's, if there's a music festival and you're going to use different venues, now you have some choices of where you can go. Different places where you can hold events. Also with the Foundry, they do a lot of things that we can't do at the Center for the Arts. They do wedding receptions and memorial services and things that we are unable to do. So when people call us for those types of things, we act as a referral service for the other organizations to make sure that that business is going to stay in the community. I would be lying if I said that was not, there weren't some financial struggles in the arts right now. The two biggest things I saw post-COVID, the acts that we used to get at the center, because they were closed down for several years, the prices have gone through the roof. So entertainers that we used to be able to get for $20,000 to $40,000 are now upwards of $100,000, and that just doesn't fit in our business model to be able. We can't sell a ticket for $500 in Nevada County. We're not the venue down in Roseville. So that's one challenge, but then also the occupancy rates and the number of people going out. But I will say, since January of this year, I've seen more sold out shows at the center in our first quarter than I have seen in a long time. So I think the audience are starting to come back and feeling more comfortable being in a tight kind of public space now. So I'm optimistic that we will all be able to work together, and it will just really put Nevada County on the map as truly being the arts and cultural center of the rural counties. I work with a lot of different rural communities, and they come up here and they see what we have, and they are amazed that we've been able to do all of the things that we've done here.
Okay. Well, we will talk about plans and numbers, etc. Because I see Eliza there, and once we get to the audience questions, I think we'll talk more about that. But Ken.
So circling back to the COVID question, are folks coming back? We've seen a steady uptick. It's taken time. One of the things coming out of the pandemic that as we looked at the research and the conclusions that people were drawing in the industry, basically the common wisdom was that things would not get back. This was back in 2021, early 2022, was that things would not get back to normal audience levels, folks coming out regularly until 2025. And that's pretty much what we're seeing at In Concert Sierra is there has been a steady uptick, and we see that continuing. we've had some very well sold out shows. We did 2 concerts with a group from the UK, one of the more popular a cappella vocal groups in the world, and both of those shows sold out very easily. So it is coming back. It's very positive, and then I'd like to just carry on kind of from where Lisa left off, and say that we have been talking with leadership both from the Foundry and Center for the Arts, previous leadership. We've been having conversations about collaborating in marketing our community, being a very cooperative force in representing the arts as a whole in Nevada County, and at In Concert Sierra at Crown Point venues, we see the real opportunity for success for all of us, and the real opportunity for our communities, for the arts as an economic resource, being to grow the footprint of the arts to a regional footprint as opposed to pretty much strictly a local footprint. And the way we can do that is by marketing the county as a whole. So we're really excited as we get closer to coming online with Crown Point venues to be able to collaborate with these other 2 excellent venues in the community that bring a wealth of variety and opportunity to the arts, and to be able to market that out to the region and bring people here where we have so much to offer, not just the arts, but outdoor recreation and all kinds of things. So it really is a positive message that I think we all want to bring to the community about the need to support the arts, the need to support the venues. I think we can all do a better job of figuring out how to make that happen. And we can certainly do a better job of presenting that need to the community. But the real key is to create a regional footprint for the arts in Nevada County. Your turn.
Thank you. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm very much a big picture person, but I woke up this morning and realized, I'm year 5 of a world I never thought existed, with pandemics, and one of the things I see a lot and I think about a lot is how isolated we became as individuals and organizations because of the pandemic, and all of the intentional divisions that is flooding in our lives to keep us separate from each other because we're easier to manage that way. And so what I see and what I think about a lot these days is how we come back together to create mutual success. We are creatures, we are tribal by nature, we build communities, we connect with each other. This is how it works. We've been doing it since we've been on this planet. So when I back up and I take that look, and I look at COVID, I work with a lot of different organizations, and the ability to adapt from COVID is still being felt. Lots of folks wish, we're just back to normal, everything's fine. We're not even close. And where we see this in terms of the Foundry is that weddings. Weddings was the bread and butter of the Foundry for many, many years. But it all changed after COVID. Weddings were smaller. They became less people didn't travel as far. All of this division kept it small and tighter. And one of the interesting things that we found, that was one of the things that really affected the economics. And then we found that people weren't attending concerts. But also in our research as we engaged the Foundry, through our legal team, we found in Northern California 6 other cultural venues that were being taken over by municipalities because the models that were in place no longer worked in the world in which we existed. And that's kind of what's happened here. So we look at that. So one of the things in Nevada City, and I said this before, one of our designs, our intentional designs, is to survive the other 2 organizations because we're very different. I think there's a lot of work here about what is it that each of us brings that is important, that is unique to our venues, but what is it that we share? And what is it that we need to share? And articulated very clearly by my colleagues here is we need to look at that bigger picture. We need to understand who has what space. I mean, the Foundry is just one of the examples I use. We just had Third World at the Foundry. You could go for $40. And there were young people there. They're not here, but there were young people there. And we had a venue and a price that allows people to afford tickets. It's very different than the other models out there, and it matters. Okay, sorry, Adam.
And Jen, and yeah, that's the young group
and those
up
of you
there.
who are younger. At some point, everybody's younger. So, yeah.
Well, just for the benefit of the audience that's going to watch this later and that doesn't have the crowd shot, I will say that not everybody has gray hair, so or
Yeah.
no hair.
Or
Right.
careful.
Yeah. And some of us go right past gray hair. You know? But so we need to look at that. It's really important that we understand the system which we are part. Nevada City, we recognized over the last few years with our strategic plan is the importance of elevating the arts in our community. And we actually formed an arts commission, which is probably about, 25 years overdue or something, because arts, we've known that is so important to our community. So now we're elevating that. We understand the economic possibilities, but we also, in terms of our venue, look at a larger economic system. It's when we bring people to the Foundry, we're also bringing people to the restaurants and the hotels. And this came up earlier. And to back up and look at that larger economic system, and then to begin to adjust fees and schedules so it supports the entire system and not just how much money are we making today. So there's a lot of things to think about, but I think we're headed down the right path, and it's been great to meet with my colleagues on this.
So let's talk a little bit about how the community can support all your venues. And what specifically what I would like to hear is not everybody has the ability to just write a very large donation check and say, here, just go and make art. What can people do, and especially what can young people do? How can young people get involved without actually having to pay to have access to art? Are there options to volunteer? Do you have any type of, well, maybe I'm not saying a commission, but how can young people actually get involved with your venues? What can they do to actually even just be exposed to art, and then maybe later on, then they can write you the big checks. But how can people get involved that are not super wealthy?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and look that up. One of the things, as I said, we're coming at the Foundry from a very different position than the other venues. We have an enormous clamor for after-school programs and music educational programs. We've got people coming out of the community that want to do that. Our job as a city is to identify the value in that and support the ability for that to happen. So we're looking at tiered pricing systems so that we can do larger events that carry lower cost events, and that we can begin to engage the community. But as an elected person, I say this all the time, anybody that believes that 5 people sitting in the front of the entire city can understand your needs, wants, and desires is nuts. We don't know unless you tell us. So engagement, what do you want? Young folks, older folks, what do you want? As I said, we had the community meeting with 130 people showed up. All ages. I care deeply. I worry. This is just a little bit of a sidetrack, but it's housing. I worry deeply about losing the multi-generational aspects of our communities because of economics. So how do we find places so that all generations have a place where they can get engaged and stand? And we hope to really use the Foundry as a community center for engaging seniors, young folks, public meetings, political meetings, to use it as a full-scale venue that's more than just the events, more than just the weddings, more than just the concerts, more than just the bar, but it becomes an asset where people gather and come together and decide. In Nevada City, we don't have, people tend to speak up, if you haven't noticed. And they'll
So
tell
speaking up, can you maybe answer the question that I actually asked? I asked, how can young people get involved with the Foundry now? Give me something concrete, please.
Yeah, okay. So contact yours. In the city, we have our Park and Rec person, Don Zaidanis, who's going to handle a lot of the programs. We're still figuring stuff out. We got a lot of information from the public meeting. We know there's a need for a younger program. We know that. We're still figuring out what that's gonna look like, but we're committed to doing that as part of our expansive use. You can call Lon Peterson, the Assistant City Manager, and tell him what you want. And it's his job to figure out what we're gonna do. So listen to him, come to the council meetings, call me, talk to me, email me. We want to hear what you want to do with the Foundry. Is that better?
Good job. Good job. I'm going to echo what Gary said, so I make sure I answer the question. No.
Yeah.
We're in a kind of a different space, obviously, because we're a venue that is still under construction. However, we are in the middle of a process of engaging with the community to explain what we're thinking about what we're going to be doing in the community, and also to hear from the community what folks would like us to do and what they would like to see at the venue, what opportunities they would like to have there. And so I would encourage everyone here who hasn't, and also anyone who might be watching this later on, to come to a walkthrough of our venue, which we do pretty much every Saturday, and see it under construction. It's a pretty remarkable thing to see. And then at the end of that, we have a wonderful virtual walkthrough video where you can actually virtually walk through the building and see what it's going to look like. And then we have a conversation with the folks through that presentation, where we explain what our mission is and what our dreams are. And then we give folks an opportunity to give us back ideas about what they would like to see, what they would like to have happening. And we've gleaned an incredible amount of information, and we will continue doing that for the next year as we're under construction. So we would love to see everybody in the community come through and see what we're doing. Let us know how you think it will impact you and what you would like to see there. In terms of financial support, this is probably one of the trickiest equations, and I think it's for any nonprofit organization, and even trickier for venues. I think I've been guilty of this. We all sort of take it for granted that there will be a theater there that we can go and see a play, or there will be a concert hall that we can go to a concert. But those places are very expensive to run, and they need support from the communities that they exist in. Oftentimes, that support comes from in a community that has a university presence, for instance, will come from that kind of support. We don't really have that underlying foundational support element in our community. So it really has to come from the private sector, and to some degree as possible from the governmental sector. We have many very generous philanthropic donors in our community, and our understanding at In Concert Sierra is those folks want to see us provide opportunities for the entire community. So we engage in both presenting events, concerts that will appeal to those folks that are directly donating their dollars. And then we use those dollars in turn to leverage reaching out into the community through educational opportunities. In our case, we start at Babes in Arms with our programs at the library in the summertime, where we encourage everyone to come. A typical classical music concert is really not the greatest place for a 2-year-old. They have a hard time sitting still long enough and not making noise. The programs we do with live music at the library in the summer are designed for those experiences so the kids can be kids and do whatever they want. And we carry that educational opportunity for the community all the way up through seniors who are in senior living residences, many of whom have a hard time getting out to go to concerts. So we bring concerts into the facilities where they live for them, and everything in between. So we think, I could probably, just looking at the crowd out here, I could probably ask a few of the folks whether or not they approve of the fact that we use their philanthropic dollars to put things like that out into the community. I'm pretty sure they would say, yes, we absolutely approve. So it's always going to be difficult for young people that are starting careers and raising kids and all of those things to be philanthropic at the level that would support their use of the arts in Nevada County, for instance. So we want to still bring the opportunity to enjoy the arts to them. That's one of the ways we can do it. The other thing I truly believe is that philanthropy, is a learned experience. And the fact that there is no gift too small, which I think we all say regularly to the community, and we really mean it, is a really important concept that almost anybody can give $10 a month, for instance, and support the arts, support a venue of their choice or an organization or whatever it might be, whatever the nonprofit might be. And as you go on, you'll probably be able to increase that a little bit up to the point where I think, as you alluded to, Pascal, that at some point those will be the folks that are, some of them, the major philanthropic donors in a community. But it's a learned experience to do that. And I think it's really important to try to figure out how to deliver that message to young people, to begin that process early on and learn that and make it a habit in a way that's relatively painless at first and then can grow over time.
Same question for you, Lisa.
So, what I find with young people, you have to make it fun for them. If it's fun, they'll come back and they'll buy in and they'll support. I'm old, so I'm not sure what young people think of as fun anymore, but we're very lucky at the center that we have a lot of great young people who work there and also young people who serve on our board that helps determine that. But a couple of things that we do, I think, we have a pretty diverse programming scenario at the center. So for example, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, we are doing, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, it's the Singer-Songwriter Fest, and this was something that was started last year by our former executive director. It's been very popular, and we bring in professional singer-songwriters who are actually doing concerts, but then there's also workshopping that people can sign up for to learn how to be a singer-songwriter. And I believe that brings in a younger crowd in the community. That's something that's interactive that they can do, that they're interested in. On May 2nd, we're hosting the Nevada Joint Union High School art exhibit at the center. So another way to get high school kids engaged into the building. If they're showing their art, they can appreciate what we were doing there. May 10th, we are bringing the Stunt Dogs back, which is a great family show. So along with our educational series and the things that we do, youth arts education, we do try to do some programming that's very family oriented. It's not just for adults or young adults. When you live in a rural environment, you have to be creative about what you do because you don't have a big enough population base of any particular demographic. So at the center, our goal is to try and reach every demographic. I will say demographic of my age is way easier to get into the building because I read their emails, I see their online stuff. It's harder to get the younger generation engaged in coming to shows. And so that is something that we are constantly working on with our marketing team to figure out how to bring younger people in the building. We feel like we're providing the programming for it. We just need to get them in the building. And once people come, my experience there, once people come, they love it and they come back. So it's just getting them in the door the first time. You asked how people can help us financially. One of our main sources of revenue is through a membership program. We are actually just getting ready to start our membership drive next week. I'm going to make my pitch. For as little as $120 a year, so $10 a month, you can be a member of the center. It provides great value. You get pre-notification on tickets. It gives you the ability to exchange your tickets if somehow you can't come to a show. We'll give you a credit and we'll let you come back to another show. And then as your contributions go up, the benefits become greater. So our Encore membership club starts at it's $1,000, it goes up to $5,000 usually, and there's some incredible benefits for becoming an Encore member. You get pre-notifications for shows. Our shows, especially the ones that are going to sell out, if you don't jump on them and get tickets right away, you're going to miss out. But we do a pre-sale for our Encore Club, so they have first shot at tickets, which I think is, if you're into live entertainment, it's a great benefit. So, again, there's always challenges into bringing people into your building. But the more you do and the more diversity that you can show of what you do, the more people you're going to get into the building.
Okay, so now let's turn to our live audience here, and we will start with Eliza Tudor, the Executive Director of the Nevada County Arts Council, who is here, and I believe, Eliza, that you are digging deeper into what does the community want and how can it be done. So, care to talk a little bit about that, or do you have any questions for the three luminaries here?
I'd love to. Can I borrow your mic?
You may.
Great. Yes, you can have the mic back afterwards. Thank you so much, Gary and Ken and Lisa and Pascal, and also Sierra College for hosting this important conversation. I'm Eliza Tudor, Executive Director at Nevada County Arts Council. So that's your umbrella agency for the arts. We're connected, we have this vital connection between a state agency for the arts, California Arts Council, and board of supervisors. So we feel very responsible. Your first question to this amazing group of leaders in the arts was, how do you see your venues in 5 to 6 months? We're currently investing in a consultancy to lead our entire community through that same question, but extending it over 5 to 10 years. Next week, they're going to be visiting us. We've already been up in Truckee and held 5 listening sessions for our community in 5 very different places and with different participants and audiences. We're going to be here in Grass Valley, Nevada City. In fact, we're going to be in every one of the 4 supervisorial districts in western Nevada County. And there's an opportunity for you to lend your voices. Your voices will then impact all the kinds of things that In Concert Sierra, Crown Point venues, the Miners Foundry, the Center for the Arts, and the North Star House, and the Fairgrounds are going to want to hear from you about what you feel is most important to the arts. So Pascal's asked some inquiring questions today. You can continue that inquiry through participating. We will then take what we've learned from our community and create a 5 to 10 arts and culture action plan, which will support the sustainability of the arts for all of us. A couple of the deliverables include funding strategies for the arts, all the arts, not just our artist base, but our arts organizations over time, and a regional marketing plan for the arts. This is something our arts organizations tell us they really want. It's a fundamental, universal need. And of course, we're here in Sierra College. Karen and I have been speaking, along with other community colleges actually across the capital region. What do career pathways in the arts look like? We're talking about youth here, what happens after high school and what happens in high school. This work that we're doing now to create the first ever arts and culture action plan in the arts follows years of foundational studies. We've done 2 very big studies across the whole county of the economic impact of the arts. When we last did it a couple of years ago, we found that it was a $66 million industry, building upon the $48 million industry we discovered it was 4 years before that. Of course, we recognize that a lot of that funding, that revenue, that impact came from COVID-era recovery funding. So there's so many things that we need to take into account. But on your way out, pick up one of these. You'll find all the listening sessions. They're on, Wednesday the 30th and Thursday, May 1st. So be there or be square. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Eliza. Data is good. We need more data.
Nevada Theater hasn't been mentioned. How do they fit into this mix?
The Nevada Theater hasn't been mentioned. How do they fit in? Well, first of all, the Nevada Theater is doing pretty well. They have been focusing, of course, on local productions, local artists. That is what the Nevada Theater does and does very well. And by the way, I don't know if you saw it, but they have right now a campaign going to put in an amazing sound system that is, I believe, the same
It's what we have at the center.
that the Center for the Art has. And they are looking, they have a matching campaign and they have, I believe, they need $25,000 or so. So if you're so inclined, do help them out. But the Nevada Theater is one of the other important indoor venues that we have in Nevada County and actually in Nevada City. Very lucky about that. The Nevada Theater is not in the same boat than these three venues. They don't have the, I wouldn't say upheaval, but the changes or the challenges that these three venues have. So that's why they're not here, but they are super important.
So I would say, just, for example, when you go to London and you go to a play, you can go to a very old, what they call playhouse, maybe 18th century, and then the National Theater, which would be sort of like Crown Point Center, okay? And that hasn't been an 800-pound gorilla there. But at the same time, I think preserving the Nevada Theater is really important in talking about having a broad range of choices. And I would hate to see it get crushed.
I don't believe that anybody's going to crush the Nevada Theater, but let me put, I mean, I have somebody who can give a much better answer. Jane?
Thank you. I'm president of the Nevada Theater. And the Nevada Theater is a very lean and focused venue. As you know, it is the oldest theater west of the Mississippi, continuously operating. We have, whether you're familiar or not, we have 244 events in the theater. We have no debt. We operate, as I said, again, very lean and focused. We've already completed our calendar for 2026. There's a few small spots open. We need community support to operate the building, to do all the rest of it.
Jane?
Sorry, I'm so grateful that he spoke up. Anyway, we always need community support. That's the whole underpinnings of the venue. But we're very proud that we are a very healthy and active venue. And our main focus, I should also make this one small point, I don't mean to take away from the other three venues, but we're there for the community. So 99% of what you're going to see in the Nevada Theater are by Nevada theater artists. We're not a roadhouse. We don't bring in artists from outside the community. This is all about developing artists within our community and those artists having a place to put their shows on stage. So thank you very much.
Terry?
So I'm interested in, when is it going to come about, like other communities that have one central site in order to find what venues are producing what, and that I can buy a ticket from that venue?
As soon as I build it.
Okay. I mean, that's really difficult, that I have to go to the Foundry to see what's going on the center. When are we going to get one site that you can buy a ticket?
So there's a lot of sites that have all that information. In my opinion, probably too many. But for example, Go Nevada County, which is the county-sponsored site, everybody who feeds us information about what they do, it gets posted in a regional calendar. But I'm going to be looking to the Arts Council as part of the work that they're doing with their study to really help us create a comprehensive marketing plan with a centralized place where all of that information can go in. What I'm really seeing, and I've been kind of at the center since our executive director left, I've taken over the role a little bit of kind of working with some of the community groups, and I'm very encouraged with the collaboration of everybody and the willingness to all work together. I did interview with your consultant last week, and the questions he asked were very pertinent to the discussion that we're having. So I believe that the study that's going to come out is going to really help us form how we're going to move forward collectively, both from a marketing and a programming perspective.
So basically, we're going to have Arts in Nevada County trademarked and that's going to be it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I will. Bob.
I'm hearing a lot of what's happening currently and some hints at where we might go. I'm wondering if you could offer your personal visions of where we as a community, not individual venues, but where we could go as a community to elevate the arts in the future. Be as speculative as you want.
Okay, get your crystal balls out.
Here, go ahead.
I'll start. I'll take a stab at
I'm just
that.
trying to
Thanks,
get
Bob.
through today and tomorrow.
So one of the things that we see, we've all alluded to this a little bit, that affects everything related to the arts in Nevada County is this idea of the venues, the presenters, the entire arts community coming together to collaborate. And if I could go back to the previous question, even the concept of having a central clearinghouse for events in the county really is not so much about having that physical place or virtual space where that can happen. It's about all of the organizations, all of the presenters, the venues, realizing and truly embracing the fact that that is an important aspect of producing arts in a region and supporting the arts and consequently contributing to that. If we have a clearinghouse like that and 2 or 3 of the venues or presenters in the community just don't bother to put their stuff up on it, then it's not going to be complete and it's not going to be as thorough as it needs to be. So it really is about all of us coming together and realizing that the main thing we can do is work together, and by doing that, we're going to float everybody's boat at the end of the day. So to me, that's the main thing I see in the future in the county that I'm really encouraged by, is the conversations that are going on now about what do we do to promote the arts in a way that 5 and 10 years from now, as a result of a countywide strategic initiative, we can create a regional arts footprint for Nevada County that incorporates Reno, Redding, Stockton, all the way to the Bay Area, and really supports not only the arts in our community, but the entire community, and helps the community understand what a great economic resource the arts can be for a community.
Great, thanks. And thanks about the Nevada Theater. In Nevada City, you sit there, you look, and there's the Nevada Theater, there's KVMR, and there's the Miners Foundry, and what, it's amazing to have those assets in that small community. And the city's always open to conversations with the Nevada Theater. We understand how important it is, and we've continued to have that conversation. Obviously, we'll go to any length to save our assets. So,
careful.
What should we be doing?
That was on the record.
But so one of the things I think I came across this statement. It's kind of a bit hokey, but it's so true in this case. Is we have many shining stars, but what we need is a beautiful constellation, and that's what we need. We cannot stay. I mean, even as individuals, we all have our favorite venues. But to understand that and to look across the entire system, to articulate it as been described, to market it as an entire area of regional arts is really critical, and I think really where we need to go. And all of us as members of this community and supporters of the arts have to advance that shared vision. It's really going to take all of us to do that. We have some great leadership in the arts. We have incredible power in the arts, but we're also artists. Sometimes bringing artists together and getting everybody focused can be a little challenging.
What do you say?
Yeah, but it's so critical to all of us that we succeed together and that the boats rise together, but that we create that constellation.
Great, thank you. And with that, we are at the 1 hour mark. So Lisa, unless you want to say something, you get the last word. Come on.
Go for it.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here, and I know many of you in this room, and I know you're here because you're very passionate about the arts, and you want to see us all be successful. And that, as an elected official in this community, first representing the city of Grass Valley and now with the county, that is extremely important, and it's very appreciated. I think if you look back, so I've been here for a really long time, in 1995 when the Economic Resource Council was started, you look at what the focus of the economics was, and it was not the arts. And so where we've come in 30 years is incredible, and I will attribute that to every single person who sits in this room because it's important to you, and so you've made it and elevated to have it be important in the community. And I look at what the arts does, and I see my friend Jerry Serino sitting up there. We do 170 shows a year. That impacts downtown in an incredible way. You can't get into a restaurant when there's a center for the art show unless you have a reservation on those nights. So the direct impact economically of the arts can be felt every single day in Grass Valley. It's just going to increase when In Concert Sierra opens. Nevada City's really looking at how they can capture a little bit more synergy between the Foundry and their local businesses. So tying all those things together and understanding the importance of the economics of it is, as a county person, that's really important. As a former business person, very important to see what the arts does for the community. So, again, I really appreciate all the people that are here and all the work that all of you do to contribute to the arts in Nevada County.
And with that, I am sure that the three will stick around if you have specific questions for any one of them. Please come and talk to them. Thanks for being here. And again, when you go out, please go out through the lobby and check out the student artwork that's during the show. So, and with that, thanks very much for being here.
Thank you, Pascal.
Yeah, thank you.